You can save your marriage right now, even if you're the only one who thinks the relationship is worth it. No matter what crisis you're currently enduring with your spouse, there is a path to resolution and happiness, and this video is going to show you how to get there. But first, let's face some hard facts. 51%. That's the percentage of couples who don't make it, who can't get through the trials and tribulations that life presses down upon us. Now, I'd be remiss to say that the odds are against nearly everyone, except you. You've got a distinct advantage. You're here right now, and you know that the only way to get things working again with your spouse is to put in the time, effort, and research to resurrect the love that led you two together in the first place. I know that may feel impossible if you're going through some serious pitfalls right now. After all, as you're watching this video, it's quite possible the two of you aren't even talking at the moment. Maybe one of you has moved out and refuses to even be in the other's presence. And this could be the result of an affair, years of neglect, a sudden change in life circumstances, a crisis of age, a sudden change of heart, or maybe it's the culmination of mounting stress that you've both been enduring. I'm barely scratching the surface here of the vast number of reasons why marriages fall apart and fail. But I don't want you to focus on your specific problem just yet. The solution is actually greater in sum than the specific causes you have in your head at this moment. And very soon, you'll know that resolving the pit of anxiety you have deep in your stomach can be accomplished on your own terms and within your control. Right now, at this very moment, you hold the key to restoring your marriage and making it more sacred and wonderful than ever before, no matter where your other half stands in the battle to end it. It doesn't matter how your marriage is failing or what crisis has led you here. The first thing to understand is that no one specifically is at fault, no matter how your instincts may drive either of you to point blame or feel victimized by your current marital crisis. No one is at fault. And this can be a difficult concept to grasp, but it's crucial in order to move forward. After all, your emotions are running high, and as much as you desperately want to end the agony brought on by the constant fighting and passive-aggressive behavior, it's hard to remain calm and split accountability between the two of you without losing some pride in the process. So it may feel like an instinctual reaction to run away from what I'm about to tell you, but I promise that if you stick with me and watch this video to the end, you'll see the path to saving your marriage laid out in a clear vision that is applicable to every situation. Yes, even yours. How can I be so sure? Well, to be honest, when I originally set out to create this video, I wasn't so sure. There are a lot of unique marriages out there, and an infinite number of circumstances that can put back-breaking strain on your relationship. And truthfully, I had trouble relating to any of these scenarios. You see, I have a great marriage, and I'm not saying that to aggravate you. I know hearing someone say that their marriage is great when yours is straining is probably the last thing you want to hear. But if you'll allow me to be completely candid with you, there's a reason why my marriage has worked out so well and continues to be the touchstone of my happiness. And it's not just that I married a wonderful woman, although she is pretty darn great. It's that I'm able to recognize how wonderful she is. And through my own input into the relationship, I turn this I into we. Stick with me for a minute. We are able to recognize the dynamic of our relationship and how to navigate the inevitable challenges that life throws before us. You see, that's where the secret is born in having a successful and lifelong fulfilling relationship. Once that transformation takes place, when you think in terms of we, everything gets a lot easier from there. So how do I know all of this? Well, if we haven't met before, let me take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Jason Ellis, and I've been a life coach for over 30,000 individuals over the last 7 years. I didn't set out to change people's lives at first. It started through the mere act of listening. But really, listening doesn't quite describe it. I would say it's more aptly called active listening. Active listening is different from just hearing someone out. It utilizes one of our greatest capabilities as people on this earth, the power of empathy. Empathy is a sense of understanding where your brain uses what are called mirror neurons to put yourself in the shoes of the person describing their story. For me, my abilities to empathize with others have created a powerful connection to their own lives and have enabled me to transform their current situation into a more favorable one through researched guidance and hand-holding support. I now want to share this gift with you through a powerful series I've created called Mind Your Marriage. After receiving a continuous stream of letters from my readers and viewers over the last several years regarding their marital woes, I knew I needed to address the issue of marriage reconciliation more seriously. I began by working with the most prominent marriage counselors and relationship experts in the field, and I discovered that they all shared common opinions between them on the core values of building, maintaining, and growing a marital foundation. Ironically, these were the same values that I had already been emphasizing in my own marriage all of these years, and it became less of a surprise as to why my relationship was so incredibly rewarding. I knew this would change people's lives around the world, and there was no way I could just let this information remain hidden among the masses. So I took it upon myself to make this available to you today. After several more years developing a systematic way to implement these core values, this video was born. Here, you'll gain the coveted formula for strengthening your marriage to an unbreakable bond that you will benefit from for the rest of your lives. The beauty of it all is that you can start using this system even if your spouse is completely checked out of the relationship, and I'll show you how in just a moment. Now, I have to warn you up front, though, that this video may be taken down at any time, and it's only being offered to a limited number of participants, so please don't take this opportunity for granted. Saving your marriage is a serious endeavor that requires dedication, persistence, and a commitment parallel to the commitments you have for your spouse. So, I really don't want you to take what you're about to hear lightly. If you follow through and take action on the information you're about to receive, I know it will be the turning point to a renewed relationship for both of you, filled with trust and everlasting love. It's time for a change, isn't it? Don't you feel completely drained physically and mentally from the stress that your marriage troubles create? That overwhelming sense of dread when you get home from work and know that an impending argument is just inevitable. More than likely, every conversation, no matter how small or trivial, drives either one of you up a wall with irritability brought on by pent-up resentment. The cycle of negativity feeds upon itself as days pass by and things don't improve. Do you really want to spend another night falling asleep angry, hurt, confused, and desperate to turn your life around? It doesn't have to continue. There is a way out of this painful cycle. And it all starts with clearing your mind and focusing on the direction your actions need to take. And I've made this process incredibly simple for you with this multifaceted solution that I lovingly call Mind Your Marriage. Marriage is a living, breathing, changing organism. Think of it as a living entity between you and your spouse. Your relationship isn't static because the conditions of life are not static. Everything in your world is constantly changing. Your career, your family, your children, your goals, your maturity, your interests, your anxieties, your desires. Really everything that makes you, you, is constantly in flux. And because you're a separate individual from your spouse, their life is changing at the same time, through its own pace, and marked by varying experiences. The problem lies with the fact that marriage isn't about you and your spouse as separate people. It's about your unified cooperation. It's about we. And because there's no room for you and I separately in a marriage, how do you synchronize the dance of your own unique experiences? How do you form a bond that triumphs over every difference between the both of you and nurture it into an unbreakable force in life's journey? You do it by feeding your relationship with the proper nourishment it deserves, allowing it to grow and become transparent to your day-to-day living. Mind Your Marriage gives you exactly this formula in an easy-to-follow blueprint that any relationship can follow and flourish from. You can consider it a system that builds upon itself, strengthening each former lesson as it goes. The result is your ability to feel and experience true change in your life as you implement each level of the process step by step. So think of it as layering positive change into your marriage, with each new level acting as a catalyst to maximize the previous one. Inside the program, I provide actionable information that you can inject directly into your current circumstance to shift your situation into a more favorable one. Here's a quick overview of just some of the lesson plans included. The foundation of everything. Marriage is the foundation for every challenge you face in life. It will ground you and make you realize what's truly important. Hard winds will fall. It's inevitable. And you can't dodge the ebbs and flows of life. But you can let marriage anchor you down and ride out the storm. The problem arises when you both forget that you are no longer an I. As soon as you are married, you become a we. You are joined, and it becomes a unification of devotion. It talks about taking responsibility. Intentionally or not, you have contributed to your marital problems, and it isn't one-sided because your marriage is a relationship balanced by each of you together. I know this may be difficult to hear, particularly if you've been victimized by an affair, but behind every marital problem there's a cause and effect, and it's impossible to isolate yourself from either side of that equation. So here you'll gain new perspective on remaining accountable for your marriage, and allow this responsibility to motivate you in your pursuit of happiness. I talk about changing the dance. Saving your marriage can only take place when the conditions are right for reconciliation. It's a common misperception that you'd think and act differently if your spouse treated you with new regard. However, this becomes a catch-22 because your spouse will never transform their ways until you set the example with integrity first. The gesture you make by correcting your mindset is undeniable, and your spouse will have no choice but to respond differently to your approach. We'll go through patience. As you come to grips with the struggles in your relationship, you need a way to muscle through the initial growing pains. Marriage restoration can be approached in a simple way, but it doesn't mean it's altogether an easy way. Far from it. Marriage restoration takes work. And anyone who tells you differently is trying to sell you a magic bullet that doesn't exist. Now, I'm just being honest with you here. And it may be difficult to accept, but there's no quick fix to a problem that requires a continuous stream of effort. That said, once you fall into the rhythm of Mind Your Marriage and the flow of its implementation, this process won't feel as much like work as it feels like progress. And it's because the program is self-rewarding. But that doesn't mean your gratification is instantaneous. So this opening chapter on patience will set the tone and approach for your relationship's recovery and provide a space that you can find comfort in. Remember, the fastest way to sabotage your attempts at fixing your marriage is to force it upon your spouse. So here I'll prevent you from making that mistake and show you how to allow the healing process to occur naturally. We'll talk about creating peace in your home. Pushing strife or bitter conflict out of your marriage will become so much easier for you once you take on the mindset of keeping the peace and letting go of anger. And this chapter gives you a step-by-step plan to make it happen. We'll talk about understanding each other's inherent needs. And understanding the needs of your spouse will allow your actions to align with them in a much more effective way. You'll be getting through to your spouse by speaking their language of inherent desire. So after navigating this chapter, you'll be able to fulfill the fundamental desires of your spouse, making them not only receptive to your own wishes, but eager to consistently work with you on every decision you make together. And I'll cover communication. You don't have to search long before you realize that every single marriage restoration program out there touts the sacredness of healthy communication in every marriage. And there's a reason for it. It's completely true. Communication is the primary channel you use for expressing your love and unity to your partner. Communication in every form is what creates the dance of your marriage, and this chapter will shift the course of your current circumstance by specifically guiding you to change the tempo and steps of this dance. It's often a question whether or not a person can save their marriage even if their spouse has no interest. And my reply to that is a resounding yes, because no matter what your partner currently wants, you can change their direction by changing your side of the dance. No matter what, they have to adapt to your change in direction because, you have an immediate effect on their perspective. In some ways, I feel that this chapter can seem sneaky because you're essentially learning communication kung fu to lure your spouse back in and correct your own misguided behavior. However, I have to justify it by saying that your intentions are good. You want to save your marriage. So, despite the possibility that, theoretically, you can use this lesson to manipulate your spouse, I'm assured that by the time you're done with Mind Your Marriage, you'll completely sacrifice yourself to the newfound holiness of your marriage without selfish intent. In fact, the real takeaway from this program is that by the end, you'll be selfless for your marriage and genuinely feel that the love and happiness you have with life is deserved and treasured as it should be. In technical terms, this lesson shows you how to diffuse arguments before and after they even begin. You'll find the nature of what your partner really wants and needs out of your relationship. I'm going to help you reform a balance of conflicting, stressful schedules. You'll finally feel understood by your spouse and become one with their heart. There's a solace to knowing someone and having them know you truly for everything you are. But what's more is loving and being loved for all those factors that make you you. And this lesson creates that space for you. We'll talk about recognizing and diffusing anger. And recognizing the levels of aggression in your marriage will keep you aware of your responses to your spouse and take the anxiety out of your communication. Without the fear of overwhelming conflict in your communication, you'll be less inhibited to share with one another, and that's when your connection can truly blossom. We're going to talk about forgiveness. Being unable to forgive will form a shell of contempt over your relationship, and things will become more and more difficult. So here I'll be giving you 5 steps to forgiveness that will allow you to move on with your lives. We'll talk about empathy. As I said earlier, validating and coming to terms with your spouse's perspective, it can be a difficult pill to swallow, but it's a vital part to unifying your relationship. So here I'll show you how to draw from your mate's outlook and find common ground. We're going to talk about intimacy. You're going to be able to reconnect physically with your mate and learn simple ways to bring lovemaking back into the bedroom with excitement. Even if it's been a while, this chapter will show you the way. I'm going to talk about time management. Before you start applying any of the strategies discussed here, it's important to have an organized approach to your time management. And, I'm no stranger to the fact that your life is probably completely overwhelmed with busy work schedules, constant errand running, taking care of the kids, running to and from appointments, dealing with the frantic pace of an after-school activity. And I know I'm barely covering any number of the other engagements that make up your week. In order to make the techniques in this book work, you absolutely need to set aside time together between you and your spouse, and this is just mandatory. We'll cover finances. A major stress aggravator in most marriages revolves around finances. Maybe you're overwhelmed with bills to pay or feel resentment for your spouse's employment position. The dynamic shifts when one is the breadwinner and the other is the homemaker. Money can also create a stress when you're both wrongly focused on it. There needs to be a balanced relationship. So this chapter is going to show you how to get there. We're going to talk about facing challenges together. And rather than trying to fix your marriage, you're looking to condition your relationship to fall into a flow of teamwork and love. And this relationship is ever evolving, and as you move through life, conflicts will occur. So this chapter walks you through facing new, unfamiliar obstacles and how to bounce back from them. I'm going to talk about surviving an affair. Infidelity is the ultimate act of betrayal in a marriage. And when it occurs, it feels like the bottom has fallen out from your relationship and you're just in a free fall of anger, anxiety, and depression. And it's a common question that's asked after an affair has been revealed. Can our marriage survive this? And the answer is almost always yes, if both partners put in the work. But make no mistake, there is a lot of work to put in. So in this chapter, I'll cover the 4 phases of repair in depth and how you can build trust again within your relationship. And then we're going to talk about, where you go from here. Find your happily ever after that's customized just for you. So here you'll gain vision of the coming years and how to consider the unpredictability of life ahead. It's where you can take the training wheels off and sail into the sunset with your spouse in loving hope and joy. I'm barely scratching the surface here. This is only a glimpse of the transforming topics I'll be covering in this complete marriage building manifesto. And also, I'm continuously adding bonuses and additional content in the membership area, all of which you'll receive at no additional charge. Your access is lifetime. And in addition to all of this, you'll have access to me, your personal confidant in your journey to a successful marriage where happiness and hope outweigh all of your current sense of doubt. Along with the 16 pillars of Mind Your Marriage mentioned above, having personal access to my hand-holding support is perhaps the greatest advantage of this complete program. And that's because during this time, you'll need someone, a trusted third party, to confide in, without running the risk of passing biases onto your friends or family. Ultimately, with this system, your marriage will get better, and when it does, you'll want to minimize the impact of your influence when things were at their worst. I provide a non-judgmental, third-party perspective that you can feel free to vent to as you come to grips with your current marital frustrations. Having this kind of outlet will be invaluable to your personal growth and progress. All that it takes is a simple one-time payment of $47 to apply this paint-by-numbers marriage restoration system that will transform your life. This is the complete package for helping you turn your marriage around and build a long-term love affair, taking the approach of appealing to all kinds of learners. You get the ebook itself that outlines and details step-by-step strategies for rekindling your relationship and falling in love again. Reading is sometimes all it takes to help some people grasp the exact tactics they need to execute. You get the video series that encompasses all 16 chapters of the ebook, so you can simply sit back, watch, learn, and apply. Not everyone learns by reading words on a page or screen. And inside the ebook and video series, you'll get a plethora of actionable exercises that are catalysts of change. They bring results into your home in minutes and plant seeds of change that you'll benefit from every day going forward. You get 16 bonus MP3s, including the Mind Your Marriage program and additional coaching for relationship building. Plus, you'll also receive continuous membership updates to the system at no cost. Imagine coming home and being greeted by your mate with an overwhelming sense of appreciation, love, and support. And imagine reciprocating all of those feelings back to them without resentment, disingenuous feelings, and ongoing neglect. The power is already within you right now to restore your marriage and enrich the physical and mental bond between you and your spouse. Wouldn't it be great to start having exciting, passionate sex again with your spouse, backed by a love that you're both completely immersed in? This scenario is a lot closer than you think, and I'm about to show you how to kickstart this chain of events from happening within days. Click the download button right now and to have instant access to Mind Your Marriage. Now, I understand how vulnerable you feel right now. Your marriage is not in a good place, and the very idea of making a sudden change like this can be intimidating and outright scary. That's why I want to take as much fear out of this process as possible. I don't want you to feel like you have anything to lose by implementing the strategies of Mind Your Marriage, and for that reason, I'm taking all the risk completely off of you. If for any reason, Mind Your Marriage doesn't completely revolutionize your relationship for the better within 60 days, I will simply refund your money, no questions asked. Yes, technically you can completely restore and improve your marriage tenfold, and then just ask for a refund anyway and get the product for free. But I know you won't do that once you experience the kind of tangible results that Mind Your Marriage will bring. Just a one-time payment of $47 will get you access to all of this information, and you get 60 days to decide if it's working for you. So let me ask you, is $47 worth it to you to get your life back? If so, click download right now and follow the instructions on your screen. Within days of using the actionable strategies within, you'll feel a change in your relationship's dynamic that will let you know unquestionably that you made the best decision of your life. So now, with 60 days to implement and experience what I guarantee will transform your marriage into a lifetime of love and harmony, the question becomes pretty simple. Why wouldn't you mind your marriage right now and completely enrich your relationship for the better? Isn't your happiness in life and relationship worth your time and money? Following the same cycle of arguing and resentment will only sink you deeper into the uncomfortable situation you're living with now. I've made this opportunity as easy as possible to apply because the last thing I want is for you to look back on today thinking what could have been. This is the moment you decide to take your relationship in a new direction and save your marriage for everyone involved. You, your spouse, your children, your family, and even your friends. No one said marriage was easy. But I am saying that once you understand the dynamic of a long-lasting, fruitful relationship, it becomes incredibly simple. Marriage is the foundation of everything in your world. I want you to realize that you owe this to yourself. You deserve to be happy, and you have a real path to get there right now. Don't lose another day to the grief that a troubled marriage can bring. Decide right now that your relationship is worth it, and click the download button below. I'll see you on the other side.